Hello and welcome to a new topic, Bloom's Taxonomy of Cognitive Learning. In this lesson, we will first talk about meaning of taxonomy, then we will talk about meaning of cognitive, that is to say, what is cognition, and at the end we will talk about Bloom's Taxonomy of Cognitive Learning. Let's talk each one of them in detail. What is taxonomy? The word taxonomy is a French word which finds its origin in Greek, and in Greek we have the two terms from which the word taxonomy is made. The first one is taxis and the second one is nomia, and together when you join it becomes the word taxonomy in French, and literally it means arrangement or distribution. So this is the literal interpretation of the word taxonomy. Now let's move and understand the definition of the word taxonomy. It refers to the branch of science concerned with classification, to classify something, to put something into order, to arrange something. In other words, we can say taxonomy is the science of naming, describing and classifying organisms. Here the word organisms is very important. Why? Because taxonomy in fact comes to language from the field of biology. That's why we say it includes all plants, animals, and microorganisms of the world. In brief, all living things, all living beings. So we can say a taxonomy is a way to classify words into hierarchical groups. That is how we interpret in the field of language. And taxonomist, in fact, he's the person who sorts specimens, things to separate sets they believe represent a species or category. What is cognition? The word cognition is believed to have come from two Latin words. The first one is cognitio and the second one is cognito, and both of them have the same meaning, that is to say, get to know. So this is the literal interpretation of the word cognition. Now we try to discuss some more ideas about the word. In fact, the word cognition started being used from late Middle English, which has come from the Latin origin, and cognitive, which is the adjective form of the word cognition, and of course related to cognition. We can say, for example, cognitive skills, we can say cognitive learning, we can say cognitive theory, and so on. So in a number of ways we can use the term, particularly adjective, cognitive. Now let's talk about the word cognition. Cognition, and of course it's noun. It refers to mental action, where your mind is in action, where you apply your mind. You think about something. Not only you think about something, in fact you think deeply about something. In other words, we can say cognition is the process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through what? Through thought. So of course we apply our mind, and through the application of our mind we acquire knowledge and understand. When you are thoughtful, you gain knowledge. When you are thoughtless, careless, you don't apply your mind, you don't apply your thought, of course you cannot get or acquire knowledge, develop, understand. Then through experience. So knowledge not only comes from thought or from reading books, knowledge also comes from experiences of life. Then we have the senses, and knowledge also comes from the senses. Like you try to distinguish whether it is cool, whether it is warm, whether it is dark, whether there is light. All knowledge having gained through thought, experience, and the senses belong to the part of cognition. Briefly, we can say cognition refers to the input and storage of information, and how that information or knowledge is then used to guide our thought and behavior. When we say input and storage of information, in other words, it is the same as acquiring knowledge and understanding of something. And then once you acquire knowledge, let that knowledge guide you to improve your way of thinking and behavior. Result from the process of cognition leads to the perception. It develops our perception. When you have good understanding of something, when you have acquired good knowledge about something, it develops your perception, your outlook towards something. It also improves your ability of sensation. You understand it in a much better way. You grasp it in a much better way. Idea. It develops your idea. It helps you think in a different direction. And intuition. It also develops your intuition. Intuition is something that happens spontaneously without having any influence of logic and reason. Or in other words, when you have acquired knowledge, better understanding of something, then this helps you develop all these things. And you must know that cognition is an important, not only important, in fact, the central part of learning process. Bloom's taxonomy. According to Bloom's taxonomy, there are 6 levels of cognitive learning. Each level is conceptually different. The first one is remembering. It refers to recall facts or basic concepts. The verbs we can use for this level are retrieve, bring back to memory, memorize. That is to say, whatever you have grasped, you have to bring back to your memory. You have to recall, you have to retrieve, you have to get to know what you have learned. The second one is understanding, and it refers to explain ideas or concept. The verbs we can use for this level are describe, recognize, identify. So understanding refers to the concept you can explain, the ideas you can explain. You have the full understanding of anything. You can describe well, you can recognize, you can identify. You don't have any problem. You know it from every aspect of it. That is the point here. The third one is applying. It refers to use gained information in new situations. And the verbs we can use for this level are execute, implement, solve. So whatever you have understood, whatever you have remembered, with the help of those 2 levels, that is to say remembering and understanding, now it is time to apply your knowledge in new situations. Execute your idea, implement it, and try to solve any difficult situation, any challenging moment, any challenging step you come across. That is basically the idea of learning. We continue our discussion. That is number 4, analyzing. It refers to draw connections among ideas, and the verbs we can use for this level are differentiate, organize, compare, contrast. So at this level, you analyze, you draw connections among different ideas. You try to differentiate between the 2 things, among various segments. You try to compare and contrast, because only when you can compare and contrast, you have come to understand the concept in a much better way. We continue our discussion. That is 5th one, evaluating. It refers to justify a stand or decision. The verbs we can use for this level are argue, defend, judge. So evaluation is the stage in which you justify your idea, justify your saying, justify your opinion. You argue with the people, you defend your point of view, you come to the judgment. You are in a position to evaluate, to examine, to judge yourself what you have said. In a way you understand things. In a way you have developed the concept. That is the idea here. And the last one, that is the 6th one, is creating. It refers to produce new or original work. And the verbs we can use for this level are design, generate, formulate. You are now in a position to produce new ideas, new work, original work. You are in a position to generate ideas, formulate opinion, design a thing, bring something new to the world. You create something, you become a creator. These are the 6 levels of cognitive learning. And let's now review what we have just discussed so far. Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive learning consists of 6 fundamental elements. The first one is remembering, second one is understanding, third one is applying, fourth one is analyzing, fifth one is evaluating, and sixth one is creating. Hope in this brief lesson you understand what is the meaning of Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive learning. Hope you understand the lesson. Thank you and goodbye.